last speaker for the night is Jay Roher. In his presentation, Jay will explore the juxtaposition of Hong Kong's built environment and reputation as an urban area with its world-renowned hiking trails. Please welcome Jay.
Before I get started, I have to thank my wife, Karen, who helped with some of these words and who sat through many iterations of this presentation. Most see Hong Kong as an urban area of tall buildings and no green space. Part of that is true. Hong Kong has 3,212 buildings over 300 feet, more than twice the next tallest city. New York City's fifth on that list by comparison. All those tall buildings contain a lot of people. You can see that here at Central Subway Station in downtown. This was during a mandatory shelter-in-place for Typhoon Vicente, but it is always crowded at rush hour. Every day I had to let trains go by because they were full. My wife Karen and I lived in Hong Kong for most of 2012, and we lived near this intersection in Kowloon. This is Nathan Road, and besides being one of the densest places on earth, it contains the Golden Mile of shopping, which draws an unbelievable number of international tourists. The stats don't lie. When compared to Colorado and Manitou, Hong Kong is just crowded. Think about Manitou containing 5 times as many people, or if as dense as Kowloon, over 300,000 people in our little canyon. You think we'd have a grocery store then? Enough of the craziness, let's go hiking. There are 4 long hikes. I was able to complete 2 of them, Hong Kong Trail and Wilson Trail. Each one has sections of various lengths, and I just did 1 or occasionally 2 sections each weekend. Hong Kong Trail starts at the top of Victoria Peak, and the fun way to get there is the Peak Tram, which started in 1888. By comparison, the COG started service in 1891. The tram has between a 4 and 27% grade. The COG only has 16% grade. How do you like the massive cemetery? This part of the trail goes right through the middle. It doesn't take long from this point, though, to get away from all kinds of these crowds and get into the nature you are seeking. And finally, the reward for leaving the city. In addition to a few waterfalls, there are lots of flowers in this part of the island. We're in one of the 25 country parks in Hong Kong. And the country parks cover over 40% of the land area. This long hike goes through 6 of the country parks and is over 30 miles long. Ah yes, it's been a long day of hiking, and we're at a small park which has a pebble walk. You take off your shoes and walk around the ring to massage your feet. Perhaps we should get one in Memorial Park for people coming off the incline and Bar Trail. A bit overcast, but a classic Hong Kong view of Tai Tam and Tai Tam Tuk reservoirs from the climb up Mount Butler. Dragon's Back Trail is on the ridge off in the distance. It's interesting how some things are known by their Cantonese names and some by their English names. You see both on wayfinding signs. And at the end of Hong Kong Trail is Dragon's Back, Time Magazine's pick for Best Trail in Southeast Asia in 2004. It follows a ridge line for most of its 6.5 miles and is at the east side of Hong Kong Island. How do you like the colorful wayfinding sign? We could use some of those around here. And the undulations of Dragon's Back took myself and a co-worker about 5 hours to complete, and it was very, very hot and humid. As is typical of newbies, we didn't bring enough water. The good news is that the trail ends at a small village where we got some cheap beer and awesome seafood. On to Wilson Trail. The first section is here. You start in Stanley, a cute village on the water at the top of the picture. It is on the southeast side of Hong Kong Island. Do you see the road down there at the bottom? That's the start. Trust me, the incline has nothing on this trail. You have to go under the harbor and past some really neat World War II ruins, but then you climb out of the urban jungle and into the hills. This is the last view of the harbor, Hong Kong Island, and Kowloon you will see as you make your way past the Hong Kong Observatory and continue your climb to Tate's Pass. This part of the trail starts at a park, and there are rhesus macaws, which are wild and very aggressive. In the background is Kowloon Reservoir. You'll go around half of it, and then the trail will turn northwest into the central part of the new territories. At the end of this, you'll be about halfway along Wilson Trail. Yes, the amazing view from the top of Grassy Hill is 2,100 feet in elevation. I am not supposed to be there, though. I climbed up another crazy set of steps after getting turned around because of an adventure race. I should be on Cloudy Hill, which I still have to climb to finish the hike. It was a very, very tiring day. This is the ancient village of Shao Lo Tung. It was totally overgrown and in deep shadow. The trail leading up to it and beyond were wet with moisture. It was almost a stream. I was joined by some Hong Kongers, and listening to their Cantonese made for a very surreal setting. It was like there were still villagers walking around. It's a 45-minute walk from the bus just to start the hike. A very foggy day on top of Pat Sin Ling. Not quite sheer drops on either side of the trail. It was very quiet and strange not being able to see anything. In the 6.5 miles of this section, I only encountered a handful of people. An easier day on the last section of Wilson Trail. Looking back, you can see from where you came, Pat Sin Ling is known as the Ridge of the Eight Immortals. Yes, you did 8 peaks that day. That was the toughest section of the entire trail and felt very remote. And at the end of your Wilson Trail journey, look out to the horizon and see the sprawl of Shenzhen, China, 20 million strong. However, for you, there's a mile-long walk to the smallest village you'll have seen in order to catch a bus back to the train to return to your own part of the concrete jungle.